What is up, guys? This right here is my advanced inventory tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe, follow me in Dreams. I'm Young Text YouTube in Dreams, Young Text on YouTube, and Young Text on Twitch. So if we click the weapons, we get our sword out. If we click the items, then we can go to an items panel using the same logic that we will use for the first part of the menu. You guys can add that onto yours. It's really easy. If you wanted to make it to where if you clicked weapons here, there's a list of weapons. It's the same logic as I am about to show you for the first menu. Just duplicate the information for the list. All right, let's go ahead and begin. There's a lot of stuff to this tutorial, but it's actually really simple. The node is the main thing that's sending off signals to tell everything to either emit the whole book, in other words, turn it on to where it's a menu, or turn on other gadgets. That's what these wires from this node are doing. So this is our activation node. And we have a control sensor, two control sensors actually, set them both to remote. Do not use this control sensor because this node is going to deactivate controls for the control sensor that makes your main character move while the menu is up. So make sure this node is also plugged into disable controls right here. Make sure there's a wire from that node that disables the controls. Next, you want to pull out a gyroscope. Copy my settings right here, put it on align all axes. I'll tell you why we do that near the end of the video. Put the input or the output of the node inside of the power of that gyroscope. The next thing you'll want to do is pull out a camera. You might want to scope into your main character before you do this. Scope in by pressing L1 and X, and then place down a camera after you scoped in. You can click it to edit the view. And again, if you don't have to scope in like that to add the camera, then just don't do it. If you can like place it outside without it with everything working perfectly, then do it that way. But I do believe I have the camera inside of the Puppet microchip, so you might just be able to put it right there, as well as the light inside of the Puppet microchip. It's just that the node's output has to be plugged into the power of the camera and into the power of the light to where we can visibly see the book a lot better. So if we press R1 or L1 right here, it activates the light from the node wire and the camera from the node wire, also disabling our control sensor that makes us walk, and also turning on this gyroscope that aligns the axis to where the mouse will move the way it needs to move on the right axes. Next, we have our text displayers. These two right here are just those text right there, helping us see our options. Connect the node wire's output into the power of both of those text displayers that are inside of your Puppet microchip. You gotta make sure that the text displayer is on in scene, and if you want to make it rotatable, make it rotatable. It might also help to make it always on top. You might also want to play around with making it face the camera maybe. I didn't have to though. Here's my other settings. Pause the video. Should be the same settings for that one right there. This right here is just a screen dimmer. Press space in here. Turn down the text box opacity and make it black. And then put the node's wire inside of the power of that also. This trigger zone is what detects our clicks, and that wire is inside of an AND gate. Pull out a second control sensor and put the X button inside of the B of the AND gate. So if you press X while the mouse is in front of this, then it pulls out our sword. And you can check out my how to make weapons or items tutorial if you guys need to. I'll explain how this works though near the end of the video. The calculators are what is moving the mouse. This is what's moving the mouse. The right local stick from our other control sensor, plug it into a splitter's input port. Put the X inside of a greater than and the X inside of a less than. The X is left and right. Put the Y inside of a greater than and the Y inside of a less than. The Y is up and down. Pull out an advanced mover. Make sure these are on 0. What the greater than dial does, put this on 0.15. It sends off a result to a keyframe that you're going to pull out, making this 7.9. What the less than left and right X does is a keyframe that makes this negative 6.9. And you can mess with the numbers. Just make sure you got the positives and negatives right. What the Y up and down does less than with its keyframe is changing the Y to 6.3, the less than one. So make this negative 0.10 or something. And what the Y greater than is doing, and you can turn this up, I recommend turning that up. What the Y greater than is doing is making this negative 5.7. This is what's making your mouse go left and right. Click this affected object on your cursor. So this wire is connected to your cursor that's moving right now. After you've programmed that, pull out a NOT gate. Then pull out a emitter. This emitter is our book. What you want to do is pull out items. Put them in front of the book. Then group them with the book like this. There will be a plus though. Make sure they're not movable. Make sure everything is not movable. You might also want to turn off the collidability. You can mess around with that if you want to. Clone your character. Make sure the clone has nothing inside of it, nothing inside of its Puppet microchip. When you clone your character, put it in the center of the book. Make sure it's also grouped with the book and put an emitter inside of there that emits your mouse. Make sure the mouse emits right in front of your character. Right in front of the one that's right there. And then what you want to do with the first emitter, the NOT gate right there, the node is connected to that NOT gate. The node that is, if you hold L1, it activates everything to pop up. If you are not holding L1, that's what the NOT gate is. It's the opposite day signal gadget. So if this is sending a signal, this isn't. If this is not sending a signal, this is. So plug this into destroy emitted object on this emitter and the emitter that emits the mouse from the puppet that comes from your book. You might also have to make it to where the main character that you grouped with the book is not movable. Here's my settings. Just to double check. And after you've done all that, what you will want to do is then press this and then click on the book. or whatever you're going to use for your menu. Make sure both this emitter and this emitter emit with wires, and make sure you copy my settings exactly. Only one right here, lifetime infinite, max emitted infinite, time between emits, destroy whenever it is not being pressed, destroy on both of those, and you should have it. You might have to mess around with this calculator that makes it go down. Rewind real quick. I say it would have to be in the positives for that to work. So I put it like right there, 0.15 for the one that makes it go down. And what I'm using is the right arrow stick plugged into this splitter, not the left one that you walk with up here. That's what's moving your character. So how do you make the weapon visible? Well, what you want to do is click on the weapon. Let me rewind everything. After scoping into your character, go to the Dreamverse and pull out a sword of some sort. Then place it in here, downsize it to where it's on the hand, click the sword and then the hand and group it together. And then what you want to do is go to this menu right here that's just your sword or whatever you're using and make it invisible. So it should look like this. Then this result, put it into the power of a keyframe that makes it visible, and keep that on keep changes. You can also make it to where that keyframe makes it to where it can collide with things, or however you're going to be doing your attacks. You can make it have a label if you want to. This is a good, easy menu to use for your games. Whenever you are making your first emitter emit the object, what you want to do is make sure that before you place down the book, place it inside of the character's blue marquee while you're scoped into your character. So this book and the sword and all this stuff is placed inside of here. After pressing L1 and X on your circle, and you see this purple thing right here, then search the Dreamverse and pull out the book. Then you'll want to press L1 and X to where you can just select this with the emitter and do that. That's what I did. You can check out my fighting game tutorial, my combos tutorial, and all sorts of other tutorials that could help you out with your game. There's some things that can be polished with this, but it wouldn't be too hard to polish it. Just make sure that you have fun doing it, guys. I hope this helps you out making a main menu in Dreams PS4, or even making an inventory in Dreams PS4. This is a cool way to do it. I enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Follow me in Dreams. I'm Young Text YouTube on Dreams, Young Text on Twitch, and Young Text on YouTube. If there's anything you think that I left out, feel free to ask me if something doesn't work the way that I showed you in this video, and I will help you out as much as I possibly can. This AND gate right here, I don't think this is necessary. I think I was working on something but didn't get it, but I figured out a different way to do it that was easier, so don't worry about that. You might also want to make sure this control sensor is on none, or just delete all this stuff if you want to. That's up here. You don't have to. You can though if you want to, like, you know. And this is the mouse emitted. and that's the book emitter that emits from that, and the mouse emits from your cloned character. This aligns the axis to where the mouse will move left and right the right way, instead of if you were to move left, if your axes weren't aligned, then it might move up instead, like it's flying, going up. That's what the gyroscope is for. You might also be able to use the gyroscope just on the mouse itself. If you go here and then go here, click that, and then click on the mouse, just make sure that the gyroscope isn't inside of a microchip if you do it that way. I hope this tutorial helps. The node is what's activating everything. This trigger zone, if the mouse is inside of the trigger zone, then it sends a signal to that AND gate, and if you press X while this signal is being sent to this AND gate, then that's what pulls out your sword. Click this, and then with this side, click on the mouse before you put it inside of the emitter. Make sure there's nothing put down here and name detect. And you might also want to do this. You might want to click these, mess around with that if you need to. I hope this tutorial helps. Thank you guys so much for watching.